Thoughts never spoken, feelings never prices, truth never voiced.
Welcome to the Unspoken Voices podcast with Chuck Ellis, where the rubber meets the road and the unspoken finds its voice. This is more than a podcast. This is a space for the thoughts you've been holding in, the conversation you've been avoiding, the feelings you've been struggling to explain. It's a platform for honesty, a safe place for courage, and voice for those who haven't found theirs yet. Here we don't run from real life.
We face it.
Whether you're calling in to share your story or listening because you're not ready to speak yet, this platform was built for you. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about
What's really going on? This is the Unspoken Voices podcast.
All right, here we go for another spectacular evening, another very thought-provoking and informative conversation on the Unspoken Voices podcast. And in keeping, y'all already know, I'm your host, Chuck Ellis. Let's get ready to dig into it. How's everybody out there? Hope everybody's doing well, had a great day. My day was very, very good. Got some rest. Everything was good. So, in keeping, because I'm not going to drag things on because this is a very informative conversation that we're going to be having. But in keeping with everything that we do, first and foremost, I want to make sure I thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate y'all coming through. For those who are coming a little bit late or whatever the case may be, hey, late but never, or never but late, or something like that. However it go, but long as you're here. So thank you for coming. All right. Well, let's give honor and thanks to God, first and foremost, for doing what he does in our lives. And let's give us a day to get it right and to become better individuals, better disciples, and better people to be able to follow the word that was given to us so we'll have a more prosperous and better life. So thank you. I thank you for blessing us. I appreciate everything you've done for me, past, present, and things you're going to do for us in the future. Let's get it. Okay. And I give a shout out to my sponsorship out there. We still running with the Loft, Bob and Beauty in Romeoville. Again, if you're in the area, make sure you comment the Loft in the comment section, whether it be on Facebook or whether it be on YouTube. So if you comment in there, a randomly selected individual will be able to get a free, and I said a free, a beauty demonstration. Shave, facial thing. I don't do facials or nothing like that, but shave, haircut, and a yada, 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 yada. Right? Well, I've been having this conversation all week with various individuals, and I think that this topic is going to be instrumental. So I'm going to encourage the chat, everybody in the chat, people coming in the chat, I'm going to encourage you to list your comments. As me and my two esteemed guests will be coming on and having a conversation. It's not often that you get men to come on and have a conversation about a life transitioning events or a concept. So tonight's conversation is about transformation. It's about the kind of change that happens deep inside. And when your mind remembers the old way, for me, when your mind remembers the old way you used to do things, but your heart no longer has the desire to go back. So my topic is when God changes your heart, you can't change your mind. However, but if we're opening the floor up to a powerful version of the conversation, the flip side of it is, what if God changed your mind first and then your heart follows? And we say that because your mind is calculating, the mind thinks, and the mind weighs options, and your mind remembers survival. But your heart is emotional, your heart carries conviction, your heart carries desires. Your heart can tell you not to do that anymore. So now that's the topic that I wanted to address. And for me, this topic came from a real place in my life. You know, when you get to a certain point and you come up against struggles, whether it be emotional, financial, whatever. Me, it was financial, whatever. And my thought was I wanted to go back to the streets. After all I've done positive, the easier way for me to do it was going to the streets. But when I tried to put that concept in mind, my heart wasn't in it anymore. So without further ado, I want to bring on my first guest, and that's Flamon Romel. So I'm gonna bring him on first.
Good evening, brother.
Flamon, all right, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. It's good to be on. It's good to be able to share some space with you, brother, anytime.
I'm glad to have you. I opened up, and I let everybody know what the pretext of the conversation is going to be. But before we get into that, I want you to go ahead and maybe introduce yourself, let the people know who you are, and we can go. And I'll introduce my next guest after that.
Okay, absolutely. Well, my name is Flomon Romel Williams. I am in my mid-50s. I'm born and raised in Gary, Indiana. I'm a Midwest kid. I've been in suburban Chicagoland for the past maybe 35 years. I am a business owner of Williams and Williams Investment Group. I've been in business for about 5 years. I buy, acquire homes, remodel homes, and that is what I'm doing. I am also 30 plus years with FedEx Corporation, but now I'm mainly focusing on my investment group. I'm also a historian. I've been studying history for like the last 15 years, and I've been a student of many, more specifically Dr. Anthony Browder, Dr. Runoko Rashidi, Dr. John Jackson, John Henrik Clark, Francis C. Welsing, and I just have an unquenchable thirst of history.
Man, well, now you got an unquenchable resume, huh? It's all good. Hey, I'm glad to have you on. And look, man, we're gonna get into the conversation in a few seconds. Let me bring Nadir on, and let's get it cracking. Hold on for a minute. Brother. Hey now, what's up?
What's up, gentlemen? Man, I don't even know if I could follow that resume.
Well,
My name is Nadir Nasheed. I'm a trauma-informed specialist, a speaker, founder of 3B Pathways, where we focus on supporting first responders, returning citizens, youth, and strengthening families through real conversations and real solutions. Born and raised in the Washington, D.C. area. Lived in Baltimore for the last 30 years and just came back to the PG County, Maryland area. I'm in the courts every week, dealing with mental health individuals or people that are going through mental health situations, impacted youth, adult recovery courts, and I'm it's late. I'm late in the game, 59, but I'm pursuing my psychology degree.
awesome.
Oh, that's great to go. But also, man, we want to tell you also have a podcast on your own, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do a podcast every Thursday, which we put on hold last week, based due to some situations with one of our partners. But it's called the Turnaround Table, and as I said, with the 3B Pathways, we interact with people through real conversations with real people. We was definitely catching some momentum, particularly here with the politicians, the police athletic league, Man, it's doing real good. We even had an event this past weekend where we had like 16 boxing matches. But
Okay.
through boxing, for me, it's about teaching kids the education of business.
Oh man, that's outstanding, man. Hats go off to you, man. My hat go off to both of you gentlemen for what y'all doing. Y'all individualized, and you know what y'all can bring to society as a whole. As how y'all are making pathways forward. Y'all open up the doors for the next individual that want to come behind, and y'all learning as y'all go. So thank y'all very much. One, for taking the time out to be here, and two, for everything that you're doing individually to help inspire and direct individuals coming along. So,
Thanks for having me.
man, hey, I'll be talking about this conversation, and when I brought the subject up, we had some very interesting dialogue. So this how I want to go ahead and do it. I got a few questions as we move along, and what I'll do is, you know, when I pose the question, I'll give each one of you uh, some time in order to, you know, enlighten us on your perspective of how to answer the question and your view. And this way, everybody will be getting two different versions of how this thing is looked at because it's a broad topic, but it's a very essential topic that's taking place, especially from where we come from. You know, from you, Gary, Indiana. Come on, that speaks for itself, right?
Right.
And there, Washington D.C., Baltimore. That speaks for itself. So
Right.
it's a lot of people that come in our space that have been through a transformation. So without further ado, who want to go first with this question, man?
Man, just ask, bro.
Yeah, just send it our way.
All right. So let's just get down to the topic at first. Let's get to the topic. Okay. So what does it mean when God changes your heart?
Repeat that.
Oh, I was too fast, huh? All right. What does it mean when God changes your heart? Or when you hear the phrase when God changed your heart?
Well, I'll stab at that. I personally think that when God changes your heart, that is an organic state of God reaching out to you personally. And when God speaks to you, or when the Creator speaks to you, it's His way of getting your attention. That's what I see.
Okay. All right. That's you know, hey, I'm feeling like I ain't taking no thing is right or wrong because we going to perspective. So what you think of this?
I'm gonna answer it from this perspective, and I'm gonna use myself in this example. You know, me and you talk. I did over 10 and a half years in prison, but it was broken up. You know, the first time I did 8.5, and then 14 years later, I found myself back in the situation because I had loyalties to the street as opposed to loyalties to myself or my God. And when I found myself going back in that situation, a place where I knew I actually didn't belong,
Mm,
although my actions said I did, and I got tired. You know what I'm saying? I got really, really tired because first of all, one of the correctional officers said, "Welcome back." You know, that like hit me real, like hit me real bad. So the first couple of weeks back in there, Chuck, I just started to get real tired. And I said, you know what? There's got to be somebody else talking to you. It's got to be somebody else saying that you can do something different because you had stayed out 14 years. And now, just the slightest bit of a left turn got me right back up in there. So for me, it's a sign that you definitely better listen and take heed to what you're experiencing, what you're hearing, and just be blessed enough to take the opportunity and run with it, bro. Because again, like I'm telling you, Chuck, I was like looking at the walls, like, man, something keep on telling me I don't belong here, and I couldn't figure
right.
it out. I couldn't figure it out, but I just just tapped into myself and tapped into my God and was like, you know what, it's my time. So, that's my way to describe it. I hope that
Mhm.
I kind of answered it to give you my point of view. But when you tired, and you don't have nothing else, yeah, that's him talking to you.
And that's a good perspective. But now, like I say, it's as we digging into it, because we just get ready to start. We digging into it. This is going to bring up the next question. I talked about the heart, but here we go. What does it mean when God changes your mind? See, now you got two different concepts. When God changes your heart, when God changes your mind. So
Mm.
when I say, so when you hear the phrase, and this is the title, I said when God changes your heart, you can't change your mind, right? But the alternate perspective of it is, what if mind came first? When God changed your mind, you can't change your heart. So when you hear the phrase, what does it mean for God to change your mind?
I'm a, you know what? I'm gonna say this because now that you said it like that, for me, it was a mental change first, and then
Okay,
it became okay. Now it's on my heart because when it's on your heart, I think you're demonstrating it. I think it's like an outpouring from you to the people that you associate with, everybody you touch. Even if you don't even know them, you're gonna go out your way from a humble standpoint to let them know. You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed now. Or
okay,
I've had the opportunity to see another a version of who I can be. So let me help you, or you don't even have to say that you're gonna help them, but you're gonna help them anyway because now it's on your heart. So quite naturally, you come out the door and gonna be like, "Man, what's wrong with Chuck? Chuck coming out the door all happy because it's on his heart now. Everybody
okay,
seeing you a changed man." So
okay.
that's how I feel about it when it's on your heart. Everybody gonna see it. Like you're not gonna have a bad day. You might have a bad moment, but you're not gonna have a bad day because every time you see me or I see you, we ain't gonna have nothing but love for each other. We're gonna be happy for one another. We're gonna want to see each other grow and change.
Okay, I'm listening then. What about you, Jamal?
Man, I totally appreciate your answer, bro, because that's really getting to the heart of it. And my first answer when we were talking about God changing your heart, I'll dig into that a little bit deeper. For me, when the Creator touches your heart, like I said before, I think that's an attempt to get your attention. So when the Creator has your attention because something has been touched on your heart, the relationship begins to cultivate, right? So as a relationship cultivates with the Creator, your mind is I won't say instantaneously, but over time, your mind sort of takes over where your heart was at. Because in my opinion, I believe that the heart and the mind work together in a perpetual way. Like the heart, our heart can't, the feelings that we have, at some point the mind has to intercede. You see what I'm saying? To balance out the heart. Because if it's just a heart thing, we're emotional creatures by nature. And our
Mm-hmm.
emotions can sometimes take us to a place that we might not necessarily want to be. Like Brother Nadir talked about earlier. The heart is a very powerful organ. It has the ability to have us act on emotion, which is a good thing and sometimes not a good thing. So the mind, in my opinion, is what intercedes at times to balance out the heart. Because when you have time to think about things, then you're able to have a proper perspective on whatever it is. And the relationship with the Creator, I think as it cultivates, the mind begins to grow and to develop that relationship on an intellectual level, but not to the point where your heart is not in it. You know, if that made any sense.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you know what? I told you this is gonna be a complex type of conversation, man. And you guys are really putting it together. So like, so when you think about now, we talk about transition and change. We talk about what's placed on you and what comes first and what comes second. But so if you were to say that Does real change, does it start emotionally, mentally, or spiritually? Because when you talk about real change, is your definition of making a change in your life, is it based on an emotion? Is it based on your thought process first? Or is it an overall combination of spirituality coming through? Because now, mind you, because some people don't go to church. Some people don't go to the mosque. Some people, you got atheists.
Of course.
You have people that don't believe. So if we just looking at the overall spectrum, because now we have personal stories, true. But now if we look at the overall spectrum of how real change is developed, what would you think is your point of view, whether it's emotional, mental, or spiritual?
Well, I think that it could come from a multitude of angles. It could be from the heart, it could be from the mind. And whether people want to acknowledge that it's a spiritual thing or not, that's a personal opinion, but
Right.
It is spiritual as well. Whether you believe in the creator or not, we're spiritual beings.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, it can be decoded differently, you know what I'm saying? Because it just depends on the situation. Because personally, I've been tugged at through the mind, through the heart, and spiritual. And if I sit and think about it for a minute, I probably could come up with an example for each one. So I personally just think that could come from all angles.
That's good. Hey, Vermont, I think you're a fan. I think I'm getting some static with your fan, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So you check. All right. Hey, so the deal while we got Vermont down for a second. So what you think? What's your perspective? Man, you know I can't talk, man. Let me get it right. For
I
me, I
guess
gotta slow down. All right, so give me your perspective on it, because we're gonna go through this in segments, but I want to make sure that we're covering a lot of the bases for individuals who are listening, and their particular place in their life. We're covering a lot of things, so I'm making sure that we're getting a overall and a good point of view, so somebody listening can adapt this or learn from it. So, like I say, question to you is, like I say, will it change emotional, mentally, or spiritually?
I guess it kind of depends on where you at, bro. Um, what you going through, and if you are the type of individual or person that are seriously into your God, whoever your God may be, it probably come from a spiritual standpoint first. If you not so much into your God, then it may come from a mental perspective. And then if something happened to you, it could come from a physical perspective. So I'm just gonna say it kind of depends on where you at. I think for me, it's been a combination of all three, like the brother said, and it depend on where I was at, Chuck, at that particular time, what I needed to rely on the strongest.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, because change and transformation in life, it puts you in a lot of situations, and you really have to have your mind. I say your mind set on your direction, right? So that would lead me to ask the question, like, can you know better and still not have the heart to do better? See, because you can know better, but you don't have the heart to do better. Because
The story of most of our lives.
That's a
yeah,
no-brainer.
so I'm saying, because that's a good point. But now we're talking about transformation and how things affect us. You know, we know better, But can we? But as we know better, do we still not have the heart to do better? Or, I need this open ended for y'all. So this way we can look at it. Just can someone know better but still not want to do better? That's one. That's one aspect of it, right? But what is the difference between guilt, conviction, and true change? As we put them together, you got guilt, conviction, and true change. As it applies to knowing better and not have the heart to do better. What you think, sir? Somebody.
I ain't know whether you had called on him or me.
Yeah.
Um,
Should I do like this, like this?
absolutely. Look, absolutely, you can know better and not do better. I mean, people do that every day.
Right.
Repeat the second half of that.
The second half is what's the difference between guilt, conviction, and true change? What's the difference between guilt, conviction, and true change?
Man, bro.
Well, true change is going to be exactly what it is. It's coming from within because it's representing who you are. You're not going to waver regardless of what the circumstances are, what people think about you, what they perceive of you, or nothing. Like you going all the way in. Like you could lose everything, but if you feel about that change that's coming from within and it's your truth, then nothing else is going to matter. Guilt, conviction. Oh, you just doing that. That's like putting on that mask.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you walk around the corner and ain't nobody watching you, you back to being who you was.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm in total agreement with that. And just speaking for myself, as a young man, just growing up in Gary in the 1980s, and just being involved in them streets like a lot of people were. But I'm speaking for myself specifically. It's one thing to like you said, know better but not do better. Come on, man. I can't speak for y'all, but I know I grew up in a for at least most of my life, a 2-parent household. Pretty much had everything at my disposal. I did grow up through the 80s with Reaganomics, so everything that was plentiful turned into not much overnight. And at the same time, just seeing things go on in the street, you know what I mean? And I wanted to be a part of it because of what it brought, necessarily what it was doing, but the lifestyle that it brought, right? So in doing that, of course I knew better, but that did not negate what I wanted. You see what I'm saying? I wanted the lifestyle, I wanted to live like my peers, and to have nice things as a teenager going into my early 20s. And like the brother said, that guilt conviction is one thing, but when them people throw that net out, bro, and it gets real, and it gets real fast, and you see a lot of your peers go in for 20, 25 years for non-violent crimes. Hey man, you know what I mean? Some people say, speaking for myself, I've heard people tell me like, man, you blessed, man, you didn't get caught up in that. And I received that, but I would more so say I was spared. You know what I mean? I don't see that as me personally, I don't see that as a blessing to get away with something that my peers, did.
You went out for a second, bro. I'm gonna have to get him back on. I think he went out for a second, so let me try and see what's going on with that one. And I'll. Well, Bishop, you can hear me. Go ahead and log back in, and I'm gonna bring you back on. But I like where he was going with that, and that's a big aspect of what's happening, because my next question was like, can your heart reject something that your mind is still trying to justify? And the meaning of that is like, man, like he was saying, you see things that you want, and you go after them in a certain sense, or something telling you not to do it. So And if you were to dive into that, what would you say about that, brother?
You know, I that's something that many of us we grapple with that, Chuck,
Okay, and
because
that's truth.
we know, and that's going back to the previous question. Like we know what's right and what's wrong
Hmm.
because that's what we was taught, despite whatever circumstances we grew up in. The adults try to teach you what's right and what's wrong. Now, these questions they center around risk and how
Mm,
much risk you willing to take, and you weighing out your options. So, if you know within a shadow of a doubt you about to do something, and the risk temporarily might be a great reward, but if it don't go right, if it go left, it could actually sabotage, a great portion of your life. And yet you still go on and do it. You take that risk.
mm,
Um, you knew better. You refused to do the right thing. Your heart was telling you, don't go do this. Again, you refused to do the right thing. And so, um, that other side just took over. And I'm speaking from a personal standpoint, like I took so many risks for money that nothing else mattered, you know, or let me say, I thought I was doing the right things for my children. I thought I was doing the right thing for my wife at the time. I thought I was doing the right thing for my child's mother at the time, and all. And in reality, it was just about my own selfish motives.
mm. Okay.
My heart used to tell me all the time, like, bro, you don't need to be doing this. You're smarter than this. Or
Mhm.
there's another avenue. You just gotta figure it out. The same amount of time that you putting into trying to get away with crime, if you put it into something else, then the benefit is going it's gonna be a beautiful feeling on the other side of it. So, and I know I got off of the question a little bit, Chuck, but it's just these questions you ask and they center around how much risk you willing to take.
Right.
How much are you willing to sacrifice your credibility to be something for real that you don't really want to be at the end of the day?
Bro, I would add to that. Um, we're sitting here talking,
Mm,
y'all in our 50s, right? So it's we done been through some things, but as we speak about it, we speaking about it from a 50-some-year-old perspective. You know what I mean? Now when we rewind back to them 80s, you know what I mean, it was different. It was a different thought process, at least for me, because the difference between right and wrong, I didn't dwell on it much. It's just kind of like, right, I know this ain't the right thing to do, but oh well, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? But now, my perspective is different. I really can sit back and weigh the options. And we wasn't really weighing no options back then, man. You know what I
Nah.
mean? But some people didn't have any options or didn't feel like they didn't, or some of us didn't care about the risk because it was too much going well with it. You know what I mean? Until 1987, it might maybe 87, 88, depending on where you were. You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
really wasn't no risk. You know what I mean? You saw everybody living to the fullest. And by
right.
time, like I said, by the time the net got thrown out, you was in too deep, man.
Right.
You in it now. So yeah. So
And,
that's my thought on it.
and see, and now as we're speaking, yeah, we're in our 50s, but at the same token, you know, this conversation is is a conversation that can go universal in any age group, depending on not even just depending on your maturity level, but just how well you listen or well you're able to receive what's being spoken, right?
Correct.
And oh, remember, hey, what's up in the chat? Angie Pound said, "How disciplined are you?" And okay, well, we can dive into that, Angie. We can act because it does come with this. It does come with discipline. Change comes with discipline, and you have to be set in your motive to change and enact that discipline, not to do certain things. And as we talking about this, and we can talk to the young individuals too, because they may be feeling something and they don't know what it is, right?
Right.
So I say, have you ever felt a shift inside before you could explain it? You understand? So I'm saying, like, inside, as you whether young or old, if you can think back where you out there in the hustle bustle, but have you ever felt a shift go on inside of you that you really couldn't explain, but it had you thinking like, I feel something, but I can't explain it because someone else, a young kid, may be feeling something that they can't explain, but they go and act against it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you recall a time where you may have felt that way or something that you had to go through that you've seen a change or you seen something inside or you felt something inside?
For me, on a spiritual level, and backing up, just kind of going back, saying everything that I was involved in at a certain point in my life.
Yeah.
I was always, like I said, just kind of raised in a spiritual background, religious background in church, right? So by the time I became an adult, I always had something tugging at my heart, quote unquote, that I need to go farther in my spiritual life, right? And now, looking back, I can honestly say that the Creator was always tugging at me to learn more than what I was learning. I was always an inquisitive thinker, always had an inquisitive mind, and I would always ask a lot of questions, some of which could never be answered by even people in positions of power in a church background. And for me, I would say that is where the tugging, where I always felt something that was going on inside me that kept pushing me higher. And I would even say higher than I even wanted to go.
Wow. Okay.
But now that I've opened the door for that, I can honestly say that was nothing but the Creator tugging at my spirit.
Wow. Yeah. That's that led into the next thing, right? That I was thinking about when we talked about it. That goes into the fact, and I'll chime in a second. It's about, was it maturity? And you said it. Oh, you can't hear me? Uh-oh. Let me see. We got
I don't
oh,
hear it.
okay. Can you hear me now? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. We got a technical difficulty. We got a technical difficulty, so I'm gonna try to figure this out real quick. Cause I mean, hey, you know what? When you're doing something good and you having a real positive conversation, the devil want to sitting there and try to mess up what you got going on. But we're not gonna allow that to happen. So I gotta make sure I chime back in with the guys. Nadir, can you hear me, bro?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me see if I can get Lamont back on. Okay, can you hear me,
I don't
bro?
hear.
You can't hear me at all?
Mm-mm.
Wow. Okay, go out.
I
And
can
then,
I can hear both of y'all.
yeah, I can hear too. I
Flomon,
can
can
hear.
you hear me?
So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have him go back out and come back in, right? So while he's doing that, we're gonna go ahead and answer the question, man. You know, did you ever feel something inside that you couldn't explain when you were going through something? And while you thinking on as you thinking on that, I can think, man, I really don't know. Because the reason why I say I don't know if I can't pinpoint back then what I know now because I can't identify when that feeling came about me because I was in such a survival fight or flight type of mode. You know, I'm grinding in and out every day. I'm getting some feedback. Y'all hear some feedback?
A little bit when you talking.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
something happening. I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I hope it don't mess everything up. But anyway, so when I was going through things like I never took time to focus on the recognition of change. So as we talking to the youth and younger people coming up, how would we be able to uh or tell them about the thing that they're feeling but don't know what it is?
So generally, something has to happen, Chuck.
Go ahead.
Something has to register where we have to make a change because people generally don't change just because.
Right.
And I know for me, like I tell people, I only did 10 and a half years in prison, but my misplaced loyalties put me in another prison, which was my marriage for 30 years. And I started feeling that I didn't belong in the marriage, even though I had a nice family and all of my children had bachelor degrees. But for some reason, I just kind of felt like I didn't fit in the family. And I felt that long before me and my wife actually had the conversation about it. But I stayed because of my loyalty and I wanted my children to have their both of their parents in the house. But once they became of age and they had their degrees and they were young adults, I said, if I stay here, I'm gonna be cheating myself out of a life that I feel like I deserve. Now, I said this just a few minutes ago. I felt this tugging at me years before me and my wife had that conversation.
Mm.
And one day we just had a conversation, and out of nowhere, I was like, you know what? I can't do this no more.
Mm,
Can't. You know what I'm saying? In order for me and you to be the best people that we need to be in life, we got to go in opposite directions and we can meet back up later on as friends. And while she didn't understand it at the time, gradually she's starting to understand it because she's becoming more independent on her own, where prior to that, she wasn't. So something has to happen in order for us to recognize we need to make that change. If if we if we was in a space where you would just wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm just gonna change just because, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because everybody be good.
Right.
mm, okay. I mean, hey man, and this goes to say, I hear it. It's something breaking up. It's bothering me.
But you know what? It's only you. I don't hear it when Flomaine talk. Flamon, I'm sorry. I don't hear it when he talk. I just hear it when you talk.
So what you saying, man? Dog? So what y'all saying, yo? Hey, but you know what? And let me tell you something. Now, man, we I ain't worried about time, but now we in it. You gotta understand something. This is taking on the form of what the conversation is really digging into because we're not just talking about the streets and this and that. We're talking about real life.
Absolutely.
You know, it could be someone that's addicted, you
Hmm.
know, going through going through anything. They may be addicted, going through some kind of mental, emotional stress or whatever. We talking about these changes that take place that people may not even they may feel, but they ignore. They might not be in tune to even be able to recognize. So, but I'm gonna get because I don't want to get way off topic, but I want to stay in topic. Because when we had this conversation, so now we're talking about the matters of the heart. We're talking about change, talking about high places. So back to it again. What comes first, the heart or the mind?
Well, like you said, bro, we did have this conversation before in a brief conversation, and I will say now how I said well what I said at that time. I honestly believe that the heart is an emotional feeling that one gets what no matter what it pertains to. Um, and the heart is normally the first reaction with anything, whether it be in a relationship, whether it be in a job situation, whether it be something spiritual. The heart is normally the first emotion that you get. The mind is a separate entity in its own. Now they both work together. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said before, I just think that the mind is what balances out the heart. Because sometimes, and I've done it myself, where my heart will step in and do something quick. Somebody do me wrong, my heart wants to automatically retaliate, say something that I'll probably regret, uh, or just do something that's impulsive. The heart can make you do things that are impulsive, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
The mind is that balance that gives you reason and to be able to assess a certain situation.
Okay. Hmm. That, that's purposeful. Let me see something. Maybe look. Maybe it's because of
You
this thing,
concerned
right?
about that sound, bro? I hear you fine.
Yeah. Man, you know how something be happening, man, and it's like ticking at you, ticking at you, ticking at you, and you like it's driving you crazy. Well, right now in my mind, I hear this little feedback, and it's driving me crazy.
Hey, we in startup mode with these podcasts. So as we evolve, trust me, all of that's gonna work itself out.
Right,
Main thing is you getting the message out right now.
of course.
Yeah, for sure. And so, eh, because you said that, this it goes to a pivotal point. So, can your mind save you from what your heart still desires or heart still wants?
Not all the time.
Talk to me.
I mean, we see that all the time in relationships. People stay in relationships way too long because
Right,
they feel like their heart is in it. Like I love this person. I really care about him or her. Mentally, that's the wrong place for you to be.
right,
Every day, that individual showing you that you either as good as the last thing you did for them. You matter when I'm with you. You matter because what you can do for me. But mentally, you fighting with yourself. You like, man, I don't need to be here. Let's take it to a job. They not treating me right on the job. I don't need to be here. So
Mm,
people battle with that every day, bro.
yeah,
Every day. I'm
and
gonna use
because
you as an example. You out there hugging that steering wheel every day, but without a shadow of your doubt, you can do better than that. You can do more. You can spend your time more wisely. You can accomplish more if you was putting all that time into Chuck.
mm,
That's what your mind telling you.
yeah,
But just on the strength that you got to do this in order to get where you want to go, that's the route you taking.
man, and you know what, man, and I see how Famar looking like he like, man, that guy right. And now I'm gonna speak on me because we talked the other day when I was hugging that steering wheel, right? And you had a valid point about the steps you're taking with your organization and what you're doing for the kids, being in the course and things like that. And I'm like, man, he said, hey, man, you're doing the podcast. Well, why not add to your resume? Get you some certifications in mental health. So I said, hey, man, send them to me because I feel as though I'm here, but it's something greater coming. And I feel it. You know, I'm working, putting food on the table in that aspect. But at the same token, I know it's more for me. I just gotta, I don't know what I gotta. It's something that I'm feeling. And I can't tell you whether it's in my mind or in my heart. I just know it's something that I'm feeling. That it's more, and it's greater, and it's going to be happening. I just gotta, I gotta, I'm out the way, and God is in front of me.
Mhm.
So I just got to be able to recognize. I don't want to recognize where He lead me. I just want to trust that He leading me. Wherever I get there, that's going to be for me, and it's going to be revealed, and maybe being revealed now. Who knows? So this is hey man. Now we start. Now this is I like this. This is a real conversation that a lot of men don't sit down and have real conversations with insight and in depth and intellect. We just talk on the surface because everybody want to get by.
Right.
But these are conversations that a lot of men need to be having amongst friends, family, whatever, however you want to do it. Because if we don't build each other up, we're breaking each other down.
Of course.
But Ramon, I see you, man. I feel like you got your wheels turning, man. Come on with it, man.
Man, that might be a blessing and a curse, man, because I'm always thinking, man. My brain is just always at work. Uh when we were talking about the mind, once again, the mind and the heart, everything that we do in life balances out between the heart and the mind, right? And if it pertains to the job we want, sometimes our heart steps in and says, man, I want to get that job because they pay XYZ. That's the amount of money that I need to survive. And that's all we think about is the amount of pay. A heart issue, impulsive, very surfacey. But the mind normally has to intercede at some point and do some due diligence about what that job is, what it entails. Maybe that job is too much for us. That's why it pays so much. And I'm not trying to say that somebody shouldn't apply for that job, but I do mean that there's decisions that mentally need to be made to act on that heart. Talking about relationships, sometimes we fall in love from the heart, right? Because the way somebody makes us feel. But at some point in that relationship, especially if you're talking about entering into a marriage, the mind has to intercede the heart. Is this person really for me? That's the reason why we go to family picnics and Thanksgivings and Christmas dinners, so we can go and meet that family, right? So our mind can tell us this person is a match for me. So I'm not just acting on the fuzzies that I get in my stomach being around that person. That's the mind interceding the heart. We go to college. Man, I want to go to LSU. Why? Because they the Tigers and they got a good football team. That's the heart. The mind intercedes at some point and does a history lesson on the school. Is this school for me? Is this school graduate X amount of people per year? Can I get the job that I want going to this school? So you see, it's always that balance with the heart and the mind to make them work together. And sometimes the mind has to intercede over the heart.
Okay, Nadir, I see you
Hey,
thinking.
let me, man.
Come on.
You know, I hope your viewers just listen to the context and don't judge, because you asked about that tugging, and I think about when the day I got married. I honestly knew that I shouldn't have gotten married, but my heart, because my wife already, my then girlfriend already had one child, and we was expecting another. My heart was like, go ahead and do it, it's gonna be all right. But I mean, that tug of war was like, don't do it. And it wasn't about her. I don't want the viewers to think it was about her. It was about me. I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature enough for marriage at the time.
Mm.
I hadn't even been back out in society long enough to really understand what I wanted to do for me. I just came home because this person was there for me while I was incarcerated. So I'm gonna be loyal to you without really doing my due diligence, like the brother said. Because if I'd have did my due diligence, I would have been like, okay, she come from a dysfunctional background. I come from a dysfunctional background. What we gonna create? More dysfunction.
Mm.
So, um, he he hit it on the head. Like doing that due diligence will kind of alleviate some of that. Is it the heart or is it the mental? Because you got to have a right balance of both, or at some point in time you're gonna feel like you made a mistake, man. And the one
Mm.
thing we don't have, I mean, he said we all 50, but I'm trying to figure out why I'm the only one up this long with great, and y'all not.
I got it too, bro.
But we don't have a whole lot of time. I mean, and while we do have, we might as well make the most out of it, man, and just completely remove. We'll never be able to remove all of it, but as a 59-year-old person that's still trying to acquire his peace, and I'm actually loving it.
Mm.
I am so focused on doing the right things and making the right decisions and doing my homework before I jump into something with my heart. Because
Yeah.
everything that look good ain't good. We know that.
Okay. So, and that's what I say, man. Because I hate. Look, I hate to wrap it up. I know we've been on here for a minute. I know y'all got things to do and got to move on. So, as, as we going to a conclusion of this, right? For the people listening, uh, give me one thing. Give me one thing, and I'm gonna give each. Man, I'm gonna drop us down because I want each of you to be able to address the people that are listening, right?
Right.
If you take from it, and we take from this conversation the topic, or even what you may have thought about in the process of this conversation, uh, give me one thing that you would like to leave individuals with. Because I think I'm gonna do a part 2 and 3 to this. Because my part 2 is actually gonna be with all women. Because
Okay.
I want to, and as I'm on here, I'll actually join on. But give me one thing that you want to leave everybody with that you may have gathered just from this portion of the conversation. Because I know we didn't get it, we didn't cover everything, but we covered a lot. So who let off on this one? So this is what I'm gonna do.
I did.
You let off? Okay, so I tell you what, the dead, me and Flamar gonna drop down. I'm gonna give you the floor, man, to give the people one thing or give them your summation of what we did here today, something you may have learned, and something that you want to impart on them.
Let me ask this, bro, before you do that. How
Okay.
much time do you want us to do? I just thought of something. I might take about 3-4 minutes.
So
So
this,
I don't want to
Hey,
belabor time.
so let the brother go and and cause look, I want to hear this.
Hey man, yeah, I just as we were just talking a couple minutes ago, something came to my mind and I was like, maybe I need to I could probably close with this for myself. So
all right. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop us down, right?
okay.
Or you want to stay up here with you?
You can stay up here, bro. I don't need no solo.
All right, then. You know what? I'm gonna sit back.
Okay. So we talking about the mind and the heart. Now, being a historian, I have learned a lot about ancient African culture as it goes all the way back to the continent of Africa. So I'll give you a little, it might take me a few minutes, but just listen to me. I want you to hear me and hear me well as we're talking about heart and mind.
Okay.
In when the Greeks took over Africa, they started renaming things that were African. And when you change language, you change meaning. We've all heard of the Great Sphinx, right? The Sphinx that sits in front of the pyramids in Egypt. Well, when the Greeks took over Egypt, they looked at what was known as that monument that sits in front of the pyramids, the face with the body in front of it. They called that the Great Sphinx. Now that is a Greek term. The Sphinx means the strangler, and in Greek culture, what that strangler did was if somebody was traveling and they came upon which is known as a sphinx, the sphinx would give them a riddle. And if they could not solve the riddle, the sphinx would destroy or strangle the people that were trying to cross over. That's what would happen. They would strangle them to death, they would be gone. Now, I spoke about language being changed. Well, to ancient African people, that was not known as a sphinx. It was known as the Heru Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
And what that meant was that was Heru looking over the horizon. What that monument actually is, if you look at it, it is a human head with the body of a lion on the bottom. The body of the lion, if you look at it, is not raised up as if it's about to attack. It's laid back and it's subdued. The head represents the mind, the conscious. The body is what represents the action of that monument, right? So what's happening is the lower self, the lower part of the lion represents the lower self, the physical attributes, what is known to react to things. The head of the monument represents the mind and how they both counteract to work together. The head is what makes the body of the lion act on things, and that's how they work together. Now, like I was saying, the Greeks had a whole different way of looking at that. They made it out to be some demonic creature that just destroyed people, but the ancient Africans had a whole different process of how that worked. They looked at the head being the mind and the body of the lion being the working part, and they both worked simultaneously together. And that Sphinx that we know of is looking to the east, so it's watching the sun rise and it's also watching the sun set. When it's watching the sun rise, it's overlooking, quote unquote, the pyramids. When the sun goes down and the stars go up, it's looking at the constellation of Leo the lion, which is itself. So when the sun sets, it's seeing a reflection of itself. Now, how that relates to us today, also are going through a daily cycle of looking at ourselves in a 24-hour process. And what we do with those 24 hours are extremely important. Now, I probably said a lot more than probably what I should have said, but it definitely relates to the mind and the heart, because our mind definitely connects to our lower self, because our lower self wants to act at all times, meaning our heart, but it's our mind that keeps it in check. But when we need the heart to react, it's there to act. The body is in submission to the mind. That's what I mean when I'm talking about that lion being laid back. It's not raised up ready to attack nobody. It's laid back and it's in submission to the mind.
Okay. Hey, man, listen. You know what? The good part about this is the conversation and the willingness and the openness to hear and learn. And now, just as you spoke your words. But the thing about it is this: for those who listen, even myself, now it's my job to go back and say, "Hey, you said this, but let me go back and see if I see what you're saying. If I'm picking up what you're putting down."
Mm-hmm.
Because just because somebody says it, don't make it right. But you gotta do your due diligence to go and research it and find out the information on it.
You hit that right on the head, bro, because I am speaking that because I want people to go and look at it. In the Bible, in the book of Acts, when Paul was preaching, he spoke to a specific group called the Bereans. And then you'll see in Acts, I think it's somewhere in Acts 10, and it talks about the Bereans. The Berean people were of noble character. They didn't just listen to what people were talking about as it referred to the Gospels. They went back and checked everything that he was saying to make sure that what he said was true. Now, speaking from a historical standpoint, me personally, I don't speak on anything that I can't validate with at least 3 or 4 sources. So I would encourage, matter of fact, I would implore anybody to go look that up.
And we're gonna do that.
Conversation about it. So in conclusion, with the mind and the heart, God gave us both. They're both organs and attributes to our livelihood that both do us well. And both can be very beneficial and both can be very harmful if they're not used in the right way. That's why I definitely believe in being a spiritual creature and listening to the Creator when he's speaking to you.
Got you right there, man. All right, Nadir, what's up, brother?
Hey, one of the viewers had asked a question about disciplines. What was that question? Because I don't want them to think that we not responding to what it is that they're inquiring about.
Oh no, that was. I think we did address it. That was Angela Powell. She said, "How disciplined are you?" And then the next question was, or the comment was from John Eves, who said, "We all learn from the choices we made until we start relying on God instead of our own heart and mind. Faith is the key."
Okay. So first, let me thank you again for asking me to join y'all, and it was a pleasure meeting you, Flamon. You definitely a man of wisdom. I respect that.
I appreciate it.
This conversation, this podcast is going to take me in a different spirit tonight, because now, where I was thinking about my coursework that I'm doing for this psychiatric certification. Now I got to think about this, which is a good thing, because when you're in the truck, we can have tap into this conversation or just lead somewhere else. But man, oftentimes when we have these type of conversations, particularly if we have them all the time, people know who we are, how we built, and what we want to talk about. And if they not on our level, they running from us. They like, oh, here come Chuck, here come Flamon. They're gonna be talking about something serious. Those are the people that we don't want around us anyway. So we ain't losing nothing. And for the listeners, if you got something serious to talk about, and the individual that you're talking about always running from you, or want to talk about something that really is not going to move the needle, then these type of conversations separate your friends or your network that you need to progress. It separates them from the people that, if they're not in your circle, you're not even going to miss them. So I'm saying to the viewers, these type of conversations move needles. These type of conversations are the ones that uplift our people, and put us in positions of strength, as opposed to always coming from a position of need. And I'm gonna leave him with that, Chuck. I appreciate you, bro.
Man, I thank y'all. I thank y'all both, man, for coming on, and it really gave me a lot to think about as well. We're gonna keep moving. We're gonna keep staying positive. And like I say, I'm definitely reaching out. I want to invite some women with that has a good mind and introspection to be able to come onto the platform, and we're going to discuss the same. We'll have the same discussion and run across some same questions, because I want to be able to, because you got, they say men think one way, women think another, but it's good to hear from both sides as it applies to life, and I want to get their perspective. So I will be doing a part 2 to this. For those who are in the chat, if you're a woman, you want to come on, send me a message through Facebook, send me a message through YouTube. Email me at info@theunspokenvoicespodcast.com. Call me up if you got my number. But I'm definitely going to put this in my scope to be able to follow up with this with another conversation with all women. And hey man, y'all guys been great. I'm gonna give you opportunity, man. If something comes up and y'all want to come back on the platform, then you're more than welcome to come on because this platform is not just for me. This is for everybody around me, and it's to help build people and help people build themselves up. So before we get out, I'm gonna do one last thing, and I want to make sure that people know. Lamont, give me a plug for your organization. Give me a plug for your business, and let people know, hey, where they can reach you at. And I'll get the information and put the information in this post because not only do I want to enlighten people, but I also want to be able to drive things to y'all individual success.
I appreciate that, brother. Well, my business is Williams and Williams Investment Group. That's myself and my wife. You can reach me at www.investmentgrp@yahoo.com, or you can call me directly at 630-392-6903. If it relates to real estate, I'm here to talk. If it relates to anything that I spoke on today, if you got questions about anything that I talked about, call me and we can have a conversation as well. Because my ministry is education, more specifically African American education as it pertains to the African diaspora. So I'm open to questions and dialogue at all times. And I appreciate you, brother, for putting me on the platform.
For sure. Legit.
Yeah, most people can find me on any one of the platforms, BOP University Inc., because that was originally an organization that I started, which stands for Business of Prosperity. Most people know that it stands for the Bureau of Prisons, but I just put a spin on it. You also can tap into my website is 3bpathways.com, where we specialize, I'm not gonna say specialize, where we serve first responders, justice impact individuals, family strengthening, and training and speaking. My number is 443-414-1978. I'll travel if you feel like you need my services.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate you, gentlemen. And I'm glad y'all said that, man, because you know what I might start thinking about is, and we can talk about it at a later date. Hey, we might have to go somewhere together and do a speaking engagement. I think that would be. I think that so. Let's get together. We'll talk offline about it and see what we can come up with. But in the meantime, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I thank y'all for coming out. I thank all the viewers for coming out. And I'm gonna close out. Hey, the Unspoken Voices podcast every Sunday at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Just look up the Unspoken Voices podcast with Chuck Ellis. I thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate all your comments. Make sure you comment, like, and share this with as many people as possible because we want to open the platform up to different environments, different individuals. Again, thank y'all for coming. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good week and much love and prosperity to you.
All right, peace, bro.
All right, good night. Thanks, brother.
This has been the Unspoken Voices podcast with Chuck Ellis, where silence is broken, truth is spoken, and healing begins. So remember, your voice matters, your pain has purpose, and your story deserves to be heard.
So until next time,
Stay connected,
stay encouraged.
and know that your voice is never alone.